Apparently, from what my parents have told me, I've always been fascinated with gemstones. Just so that you believe me, here's a picture of me being caught red-handed. When I was 7 years old, I still remember going to my first gemstone exhibition. And as I walked through the doors of that exhibition, I still remember how fascinated I was when I saw all the glistening stones. I immediately became interested in the beautiful, colorful objects. And within a couple weeks, the gemstones had sparked a passion within me. I started reading and learning all about them. Ruby, sapphire, garnet, onyx, amethyst, diamond, peridot, agate, you name it. With time, I literally read and learned everything I could find on crystals, minerals, and gemstones. One day, though, when I was about 10-ish, I was researching on the internet. I wanted to find out why diamonds were so rare compared to all the other gemstones. Just for your information, it's because diamonds are the purest natural form of crystallized carbon. And as a result of that, they're only formed in specific types of magma called kimberlites. But anyways, while I was researching that, I stumbled across an article that shocked me. The article was about diamonds, yes. But rather than being about the diamond's properties and crystal structure, like all the other articles I had read before, this article was about how the diamonds were actually obtained from the earth. I, at that time, had never even considered that aspect of gemstones, how they were actually mined. And when I read that article, I just couldn't believe what I read. The article described the life of an actual diamond miner and said that in some places, children were forced to work under horrible working conditions to mine them. Children my age, sometimes even younger, even as young as 5 or 6, being underfed and denied of health care, taken away from home to work for diamond mining companies. As a 10-year-old at that time, I just couldn't get myself to believe that adults would force children to do this. That article deeply resonated with me, and ever since then, I have seen gemstones in a completely different light. And precisely this is why I'm here today, to speak about the real cost of diamonds. Well, because children are considered a source of cheap labor, they're employed by several large diamond mining companies at an alarmingly regular rate. In fact, according to Brilliant Earth, a survey taken in a province of Angola, Africa, showed that nearly 50% of all the diamond miners working there were aged 5 to 16. Children just like you or me, working up to 11 hours a day, 6 to 7 days per week. No holidays, no weekends, no nothing. The thing is, despite having work periods several hours longer than most adults, these children are sometimes only paid up to 75 US cents per day. That's not even $1. In fact, that's 77 times less than minimum wage in the United States. 77 times less. The worst part is, though, that the parents of such children usually have such a low income that they have no choice but to send their own children to work. Just a quick show of hands, how many parents do we have in this room? Now, to those of you who raised their hands, I'd like you all to imagine this. You work so hard every day to try earn enough money to take care of your family. But no matter how hard you work, you aren't able to provide enough support for your children. How would you feel? How would you feel if you were forced to send your own children to work every single day, risking their lives in dangerous diamond mines? How would you feel? Now, this is to all of you. I'd like you all to go back in time and visualize your life as a 7-year-old. For some of you, this may be a long time ago. For others, not that much. But just try to really feel what your life was like at that time, as if you were re-experiencing it. Where did you live? What school did you go to? What did you do in your free time? What toys did you play with? Now, imagine this. You are still 7 years old, but instead of all the things you did, including going to school, you are being forced down a narrow and claustrophobic mineshaft on the verge of collapsing. You can easily get lost. You barely ever see your parents. You work all day long, almost all week. You're completely fatigued, yet you have to keep working or else you won't earn enough money. You may be abused or even tortured by the superiors in your diamond mining company. Well, this is the case of over 1 million children in Western and Central Africa only. And I just really want to highlight this one thing. These kids that work for long hours in the diamond mines, they're really just like any kid in the world. They're like me. They're like you. Although this thought may seem hard to process, considering that my life, like yours, is so different from one of a diamond miner. But, I mean, think about it. It's not like people choose what family they're born into. Any of us, that's right, any of us, could have been born into a family of diamond miners in Western or Central Africa. This could be your life. Now, if you know the least bit about Africa, you know that in some parts, water is extremely scarce, right? Well, did you know that in the Central African Republic, to the little water that is there, industries such as diamond mining are the #1 cause of water pollution. In the Central African Republic, water is already somewhat scarce. But because of industries such as diamond mining, the majority of it is undrinkable. In addition, diamond mining, if done in certain ways, can cause soil erosion, which makes soil infertile. This means that it is basically impossible to grow any form of food, plant, or crop. So, in a way, the current ways of the diamond mining industry are not only an issue to do with human rights, it is also to do with food shortage, water scarcity, and even the environment. And this, exactly this, is why I strongly believe that this is not only an issue worth debating, but doing something about. But what can we do? Firstly, what can we do as a community? Well, as a worldwide community, we can create a strict certification that ensures that a diamond is ethically mined using eco-friendly practices. Although there already exists a certification called the conflict-free certification, this only ensures that the money raised from mining a diamond isn't used for war. But, I mean, it has nothing to do with the protection of human rights or the protection against child labor. But there is something we might be able to do. Another certification is slowly being put into motion, the Fair Trade certification. Now, Fair Trade International is an organization that creates certifications for industries and ensures that the products that they certify are ethically produced using eco-friendly practices. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? The thing is, it doesn't exist for diamond mining, or at least not yet. So far, Fair Trade International has created certifications for hundreds of industries, ranging from tea and coffee planting all the way to even gold and platinum mining. I actually got into contact with the director of Fair Trade in the Czech Republic and asked her whether or not Fair Trade would be expanding their standard to diamond mining in the near future. The director's answer, unfortunately, was that the process is really complicated and requires a lot of time. I was mildly disappointed by this answer. I still strongly believe that if we support this idea of ethical diamonds, change will be inevitable, no matter what. Because ultimately, it's us, the customers, who have the power to change the world, for the better or for the worse. I mean, do what I did. Maybe if one person contacts fair trade, nothing will happen. But if many people do, something probably will. I mean, if one day I fall in love with a woman and want to marry her, I want to be able to buy her an engagement ring, knowing that no water was polluted, no soil was eroded, no ecosystem was destroyed, that no child suffered. Secondly, I was asking myself, is there anything that I could do about this? Because, I mean, I'm just a kid, right? And then I realized that maybe, just maybe, speaking about this issue aloud would already be helping. And so here I am, on the TEDx stage. Ethical diamonds should, and if we make the right decisions, will be the future of our diamond mining industry. Because ultimately, it's you, the buyer, who can make the real difference. You are the one who can demand fair trade diamonds and therefore stop non-ethical diamonds from being produced. Which means that one day, all these kids could go to school where they belong, as does any kid in the world. I mean, we're all so fortunate to be able to go to school. And so I strongly believe that it is our duty to help those less fortunate than us. Now, before I leave you, I'd like to remind you all of what Dr. Jane Goodall told us earlier this year when she visited our school. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what difference you want to make. And so I ask you all, what difference do you want to make? Thank you.